It is the Riot Podcast. This is the Monday, October 9th edition. Whichever holiday you celebrate today, happy that day. There might be something, especially if you're watching the video podcast, you might notice differently about me. I have gotten taller. But no, if you're listening, my beard is gone. Isaiah, how would you describe it to the listening audience?
His beard is gone, but not fully gone. You didn't commit to the clean-shaven look.
Stubbly. Well, it's been a little while.
For many people, that would be partially on their way to a beard.
Yeah, that's my intention.
Like, some people would say that they are, like, if they had that going, they'd be like, I kind of have my beard grown out. Did you have it, like, did you actually shave with a razor down to nothing?
No, I did not.
Got it. You just buzzed.
I buzzed it because, so what happened was I was trying to trim up the mustache because the hairs were long enough. They were starting to curl down over the lip. You can't have that.
Yeah.
Gets in the way of a lot of things. And so...
How'd you mess that up?
The shaver, you know how it has like the little guide on it, whatever. I was trying to go down. I don't even remember. I was trying to go...
Because like when I trim my mustache, when I like cut it down to where it's not hanging over the lip, I'll take my buzzer, I'll take the guard off of it, just have it be plain Jane, and I'll just like line it up, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll put the guard back on, and then I'll just go down, and I'll thin it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Right, which I did this weekend. That's how I line it up. The only danger I've ever come across is if when you're trying to line at the bottom of your mustache so it's on your lip, if you take it up too high.
Yeah.
So you always just want to go baby little bit.
This is when I was going down with the guard.
Got it.
And somehow, well, I'm not going to try to blame the razor like it had a mind of its own. I was the one shaving, and somehow I messed it up. And so it like...
Was the guard just like not on the way or something?
Yeah, something with the guard where it just didn't...
Took out a chunk of it?
It didn't guard what it was supposed to guard against what it's supposed to guard against. And so there I was with a chunk missing of my mustache. And since it was the mustache, I could have just gone ahead and shaved off the mustache only and tried to... Because this was... You know, my beard was still in full effect at that time, but then I would have looked very Amish, right? You
would have looked pretty wild. Was it fully?
Yeah.
Do you think you could have just taken the mustache low?
I just think like it was almost about like where it is now.
Yeah.
In that chunk. So then, I mean, you could, if I had just this with a full beard, that would look very strange.
It would look strange.
And so I had to just do all of it, and I'll tell you that I was hoping after this happened, I thought, you know, I'm not wild about this. This is not what I intended. I actually wanted to keep growing it long and long. I just knew I couldn't have a mustache that was creeping over the lip. But after the mistake was made, I was like, well, maybe there'll be an upside. Maybe my wife will walk in, she'll see it, and she'll be like, hey, actually, that doesn't look too bad. Maybe you should stick with that or something. And I still wouldn't be happy about it, but then at least I'd have that little ego boost. But I think she hates it more than I do.
See, now, Angela, we got to do better. You got to at least fake it.
Yeah.
When you make a mistake like that, messing up the beard, you need your gal to be like, no, it looks good. It looks really good. Even though in her mind, she's like, no.
Yeah.
Please, no.
But I don't know. I guess maybe in her mind, if she lied, then I might stick with it. Yeah. Whereas if she just...
That's just like, oh, she likes it.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean to say that this is your thing? I guess I can say this way.
But if she's honest, if she really doesn't like it, which she doesn't, then she doesn't have to worry about me just leaving it like this.
Well, at least it's still long. I mean, it's going to grow back in like a week.
Yeah, that's right. You deal with it for a week and we'll be good to go. But
yeah, because if you would have fully shaved down, then it would have been starting from fresh, but you still have a lot of hair going on.
Do you think I should have shaved it down?
I think it would have been really drastic if you did. Like at first, I mean, I just assumed that you just trimmed your beard.
Yeah. But
if you would have been clean, this isn't really clean shaven season either. This is when you'd like want to have a beard.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can always mix it up.
Yeah.
Take it down to
we'll get it back.
The baby soft skin.
It's almost a fresh start before No Shave November. So,
true. I forgot that's coming up.
Yeah. But what's weird to think about too, I guess I'll give you one positive, and that is you ever feel your face when it's like this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't stop.
Crispy.
This is fun. Not clean shaven, but having like the little, like a little longer than velvet going on.
It's like whenever I would get like a fade on the top of my head.
Yeah.
I love like rubbing the back of my neck.
Yeah.
Because that little crispy. But I feel like your wife is gonna hate kissing you. Because it's just scratchy. It's real scratchy.
Yeah.
Scratches the face.
I don't know. This is long enough that it's not scratchy.
Soft?
I don't think. Yeah, it's soft.
Mm.
So that's the positive to me. The negative is, think about this. Think about the people that in the next week or so will meet me for the first time or see the video podcast for the first time.
And think this is what you want to look like.
This is their first impression of me. I'm getting a little used to it, but I still don't think I would want, this isn't how I want people to remember me.
You only meet him once.
Yeah.
Hopefully you meet someone famous this week. That's my hope.
Yeah.
You meet like a new band, a new RadioU band.
What are the odds of that?
Low.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Unless.
We'll see.
Do we have an interview lined up? Maybe we do.
Perhaps we do. Stay tuned on that. Well, other than this, though, a good show. I think I bounced back admirably from a big mistake over the weekend to a good show on a Monday.
Nah, I wouldn't get that far.
We'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on RadioU.
Before you hit that drive-through for breakfast, you might want to consider which one will get you back on the road the quickest. And we have here the list. In Touch Insights does this every year. The fastest and most accurate drive-throughs, fast food drive-throughs in the land. And number one will shock you. Isaiah, you've seen it. Are you shocked?
I was pretty surprised at this.
Yeah.
I don't know the accuracy in which I feel. Because I feel like the times that I've been through some of these drive-thrus, it has not been like this whatsoever.
Yeah. So number one in the fastest drive-through times, and this is across the country, is Taco Bell. Hard to believe. Hard to believe, especially if you are in the drive-thru at 1 a.m. Taco Bell doesn't really, it feels like that would bring down their numbers a ton.
Yeah.
But during the day, a lot of times I've gone to Taco Bell and it's just fine. But if you ever go, once the sun is set, you never know what you're going to get with Taco Bell. But somehow it came in ranked at number one, the fastest drive-through time. This is confusing. Do you see this? How it has it? It says the restaurants with the fastest drive-through times, but then also the fastest service. So it's drive-through. I think one of them is calculated by from the time you get in line to the time you leave, and one is from the time you order to the time you get your food.
That could be it too.
I think that's what it is, but
Makes
nevertheless,
sense.
Taco Bell is number one. Wendy's is number two. KFC 3. Then Duncan, and then Carl's Jr. Hardee's will be number 5. Anything surprise you there? I mean, Taco Bell number 1 yet again.
That's the most surprising thing, I think. KFC is never super fast for me.
I feel KFC, I thought maybe it's just because, at least in my experience, there's so few people in the drive-thru.
That could be it too.
There's not a lot of other cars.
Straight through.
Yeah, so you're bound to, that should bring your times down pretty quickly. Then they also have the most accurate fast food drive-thrus. And number 1, this is no shock, is Chick-fil-A. Now,
they're always on point.
Yeah. And even though they don't have one of the top 5 fastest times, you consider how many cars they're pumping through the drive-thru, and it's impressive that you're not there for half an hour. Burger King was the second most accurate, surprisingly. Then McDonald's, and then KFC and Wendy's. And finally, this is what's really important, the fast food restaurants that have the people most satisfied. And
I don't know if I agree with all this one.
And this, from 1 to 5, Chick-fil-A, that's not a shock. People, it's rare that you don't leave Chick-fil-A satisfied and smiling. Taco Bell, number 2.
That's shocking.
Yeah. Then Arby's.
Shocking.
Is that shocking?
Super shocking.
I'm usually happy when I leave Arby's, except...
The Arby's next to my place is literally, I think, the worst fast food restaurants in the world.
It is?
You can't get through it. There's never a line.
Uh-huh.
and they will not let you through. I think it's almost as if they want you to be there in the drive-thru as long as possible. It's pretty impressive how long it takes.
You've been dealt a bad hand with the Arby's.
And I like Arby's too.
Yeah.
But that one is just so bad. It's ruined all other Arby's for me.
Yeah. Wendy's is 4, Carl's Jr. 5. I like Arby's. I'm always happy when I go to Arby's, except when I see the bill, because it's always winds up feeling so much more, especially compared to like Taco Bell. But there you go now. You're informed whether you're planning breakfast or lunch or whatever, you know, which places will leave you satisfied and which places will get you in and out.
Apparently Taco Bell on the come up.
Yeah. They got good marks all around.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot. Radio U.
Now, we talked last week, the nationwide EAS test that went out across all phones, all TVs received it pretty much. And that caused some issues for the Amish community, where several fellas seem to be exposed for having a secret phone. But as was predicted here by Isaiah, you brought this up. It wasn't just the Amish that were dealing with their secret phones being exposed. It was also plenty of prisoners across the United States. You're also not supposed to have a cell phone in jail. And so stories are coming out here that the EAS test that went out on Wednesday did wind up exposing several different prisoners for having a phone behind bars.
Yeah, you got to be ready. You always got to be ready.
You got to be prepared. Now, it is pointed out, it looks like from prison to prison, maybe, word had spread among prisoners. Like in Nevada, apparently, they say that most phones, the prisoners had a heads up about this kind of test coming, and so they had their phones turned off, whatever they needed to do. Because, like, I think if you have it turned off, if you turned it on too soon after, you'd still get this alert.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so they had the heads up and were able to keep their phones under wraps. However, at New York State Prison and a prison in Florida, many phones were confiscated. And evidently, this is a big problem, having phones behind bars. I guess you can understand why prisoners would be motivated to smuggle them in. It's become so much of a problem that there are dogs where their primary duty is to sniff out secret cell phones of prisoners. They call them e-dogs. You believe that?
To track down the electronic devices?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. The one thing that could help them escape would be a phone. My only question is, how would they not have a heads up
about the
EAS thing coming?
I think,
like, don't you think that whoever they're talking to on the outside world would have texted them and been like, hey, I know that you're texting me. Mm-hmm. You need to hide your phone.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
I guess that's the last time they'll talk to that person.
Yeah, clearly
for multiple reasons.
Care.
For multiple reasons. Yeah, I don't know. I think out of all the people that might, I feel like if you're in prison, you would kind of just like whisper to, your prisoner buddies. The word would get around. Once one person knew, you have to know that, word gets things travel in prison. I would think that that would be one common goal all the prisoners could find, would be like, hey, let's look out for one another.
You think they do that? You really think that's how it works?
I know
they're all one big family in there. That's how you think it works? Or they're probably trying to keep it from one another.
Do you think the different factions within the prison would be like, hey, let's plant a phone on this guy
exactly.
and not even turn it off, and then when the alert comes, it'll look like he has a secret phone?
Much more likely.
Yeah, that would cause some division, and I don't know. I guess that's possible. That'd make for pretty lame TV show, though. That's how the prisoners.
That's the big move.
Yeah, they weren't
let's
like
put
shivving
a people
in
his locker.
Yeah, let's just expose him.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
We briefly touched on it. Some college football over the weekend. USC narrowly escaping with a win over Arizona. Let's just dive fully into football from over the weekend. Isaiah, I just want to know, what is your top takeaway from all the NFL and college games? What caught your eye?
Well, obviously the Oklahoma-Texas game was the big one on Saturday. Oklahoma rallying from behind to go and win the game against the Longhorns. A tough one there for Texas as it felt like Texas was back.
It did.
And
I believe you said earlier this year, you said they're definitely back.
They're definitely back.
Yeah.
And then to lose that way to Oklahoma, really tough for the Longhorns. And then on Sunday night, the 49ers against the Cowboys. The 49ers looked darn good.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys struggled mightily.
What can stop the 49ers at this point?
Well, next week, they play the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, you think that's...
So we'll see if the Browns can't stop them.
Yeah.
Then nobody can.
It'll be good for them to have to face a real defense,
there
the 49ers. I think I felt a little bit of despair when it comes to college football over the weekend because all I've heard for a few weeks now, basically, I guess since Texas beat Alabama, Florida State beat LSU, it was, this is finally a year of parity in college football. Finally, a year where so many different teams have a chance to win. And I look at the rankings now. I look at the teams that are undefeated, and somehow it just seems like we're going to wind up with the same 4 teams we always do: Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma. We're just going to get the same thing that we've gotten over and over and over again. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's college football.
You got to give it time. Way too early.
It's not impossible for Penn State or USC or even Texas could bounce back, still make it, but who are we kidding? It's going to be the same teams.
No, it's not.
Let's just admit it now.
You think that Michigan and Ohio State are both going to beat Penn State? No.
I'm hopeful that they don't.
I think this is the strongest Penn State team in over a decade. I think only one Big Ten team gets in. I don't even know if an SEC school is going to make it. I think if anything, it's going to be 2 Pac-12s to make it, Washington and Oregon.
Yeah, we can say that now. There's still a path for it, but I just know. I've seen this happen. I've seen it happen so many times. I'm telling you right now, when the playoffs come around, it's going to be Georgia. It's going to be Michigan or Ohio State. It's going to be probably Oklahoma. And then maybe if we're lucky, maybe Washington makes it in. And it's still...
Well, a Pac-12 team's going to make it in. Whoever gets through, Washington, Oregon, and USC, one of those schools is going to get in. There's no way they don't.
But aren't you concerned that they all just beat each other?
They might beat each other up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're still going to get in. I mean, the Big Ten's going to do the same thing.
USC
Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State are all going to beat each other
Arizona.
Huh?
I said USC allowed 41 points to Arizona.
Well, they're not the best team in the Pac-12.
No, they're not. So they're out. And I think Washington and Oregon are good. I think Washington they could be the best team in the country, but it's still I'm telling you right now, this is just how it goes.
Well, stop watching then if you're going to complain.
I know, that's what I'm worried. Somehow Alabama's going to make it in. I still feel they're not eliminated.
No, they're eliminated.
That's what I picked up on over the weekend. But
well, boo-hoo.
It's not all doom and gloom. It's just because the Packers play tonight and the Jets won yesterday.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, RadioU.
A British psychologist says that the key to losing weight could be right in front of you. I'll explain coming up next. By next, I mean now. The key to losing weight, according to British psychologist Professor Richard Wiseman, he says all you need to do is eat with your offhand. So for most of us, I believe 90% or so of people, if you just started eating with your left hand, it would dramatically decrease the amount of food you ate to the point where you would actually lose weight because of it. You believe this? You buy the idea?
Yeah, it makes sense. The slower you eat, the faster you feel full.
That's true. That is true.
If you eat really fast, you can just shove stuff down your mouth, down your throat.
Yeah.
Before your body realizes that you're full.
Yeah, I've heard this several times, is that it takes like 30 minutes or something for your stomach, for the signal to get from your stomach to your brain that, hey, you've had enough to eat, that it's satisfied, which I don't know why that is. But nevertheless, if you were eating slower, then that gives you more of an opportunity for the signals to catch up. But I don't know if it's good food in front of you. I don't know if it matters how slow you eat. If you got a plate full of mashed potatoes and gravy and it's really good, you're gonna keep eating until it's gone, right? You're gonna leave some there. It's wasteful.
Well, I mean, if you're full, you're full. Whether how much you want to eat it, just how it goes.
How often do you truly feel full?
I never finish a meal.
Because you feel full, or because you're so weight conscious?
I have a pretty small stomach, so I always have leftovers. I'm like the king of leftovers.
Yeah, like, you always do. You always are bringing in like a half of a pizza from the day before.
Yeah, I always have leftovers.
And then you eat the half of a pizza for like 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you do it. I'm good at portion control for some things, but if it's something good, if it is a pizza that I like, I hate, here's what I hate. I hate having a plate full of food and then leaving some food on the plate. If there's something on the plate, I need to finish it. I'm compelled, something within me. I don't know if it's something from my upbringing. I don't know what it is, but I hate putting food away. Now, if it's in a pot somewhere else and I know I could go get seconds, or I could put it away for later, that's different. But when it's in front of me, so I guess what I need to do is have a smaller serving spoon. This is what I need.
So you're not a big fan of the leftovers, huh?
I don't mind eating leftovers. I just have once it goes from the serving plate, wherever it is, to my plate that I'm eating from, I can't leave it.
Got it.
There's a thing in my mind that says this needs to be eaten or it's going to waste. It's such to the point, I don't know if you ever caught me doing this. If we go out to a restaurant and I have a glass of water, when we stand up to leave from the table, I will finish the glass of water because it's some psychological thing.
I think I know what your future looks like.
What's that?
It looks thick.
Unless I start eating with my left hand.
Yeah.
Maybe that will slow me down.
It down. Or you need to start putting less on your plate, it sounds
That's what
like.
I think. I need a smaller serving spoon. But so this might be the key for some to eat with your offhand. But for me, I don't know if it would work.
Just slow it down, you know?
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on RadioU.
I don't know if you knew this. Over the weekend, the Chicago Marathon, it's marathon season. I think Nene's running a marathon coming up this week. Be curious to know what his numbers will be compared to Kelvin Kiptum, who just broke the world record for the fastest marathon of all time. And I had no frame of reference for this until now, but now that it's mapped out, this is unbelievable. So the new record, the unofficial time, was 2 hours, 35 seconds. 26.2 miles, right, for a marathon. That means that he was running on average about 4.5 minute mile.
No way.
Averaging throughout the race.
That's incredible.
How can that actually be?
How does his body even do that, you know?
You or I, right now, if we went and ran a mile, I don't think we would hit the 4. I don't think we would hit 4.
No, not even close. Like, not even close.
The fastest mile I've run, I don't know if I've broken like 7 minutes.
Yeah. It's usually like 8 minutes.
And that's 1 mile at a time. Forget about 26 of them. This guy kept up that pace. He kept up a 4.5 minute mile pace for 26 miles. 2 hours he was running at that speed. How is that humanly possible?
He was cooking at the end, too. I watched the video of him crossing the finish line.
Uh-huh.
I mean, just cooking.
Yeah.
Still moving fast for running a marathon.
He never stopped moving fast. How can you do that without being in a car or something? I don't understand how a body is able to do that.
It comes out that he like cheated.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Everyone would be like, it would make more sense to everyone.
We'd all breathe a sigh of relief that I suppose. But at the same time, I mean, that's such an accomplishment. This should be bigger. This should be more, like his name should be around all of the news today. Everybody should know. He should be a household name. This is more impressive than anything Usain Bolt ever did.
Whoa, that's just not accurate.
What do you mean?
Usain Bolt's the fastest person ever.
He ran fast for like 30 seconds. This guy ran fast for 2 hours.
Yeah, but you can't comp him to Usain Bolt at the Olympics.
This is way more impressive.
This is impressive, yes. He's the fastest mile or marathon runner ever.
Yeah.
Very impressive. But since it didn't happen in like a 10-second span, like all of Usain Bolt's, people don't care as much.
Yeah. Usain Bolt much more made for television than
way more made for TikTok than Kelvin.
Kelvin Kiptum. But I don't even know what tuning in to watch a marathon on TV, what that would be like.
I mean, he ran it in 2 hours, so if you had a spare 2 hours on your Sunday.
And checking back in on Kelvin Kiptum. Yep, he's still running fast. Only
he's just cruising.
If he keeps this pace up, he'll be done this race in an hour and a half. Still
record time.
An hour and a half shorter than an NFL game, and somehow we watch those.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
Being a vegetarian is actually in your genes.
Really? How does that work?
You know what? I don't really understand genetics very much, but I gather from this survey here, this study that was done in the UK, that basically it's more that meat eating is in your genes unless you have one specific gene and they identified it. It is, who really cares? Somebody's like, oh, NP4798. That's the one I have. But that if you have that one specific gene, you are more likely to be somebody who actually is able to give up meat. But for the rest of us, the way we're built, I guess, as people, is that we are predisposed to feel the need to eat meat. And so it's very hard for anybody to give it up or even come up with the idea of like, hey, I think I might.
It's not even that it's in your genes to be vegetarian. It's just that like you're able to actually do the lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of people like, I would not be able to do it. And the other thing is too, I think everyone knows if you could do it or if you couldn't do it. Like if I asked you, if I said, do you think that you could be a vegetarian for a year? You would either say yes, and the people that say yes probably could do it.
Yeah.
The people that say no, they would not be able to do it. I think everyone kind of knows where they stand on this. Like I know for a fact that I would not be able to make it almost any length of time being a vegetarian.
I know for me, I actually think I could make it for some period of time being a vegetarian, and it would have to be vegetarian, not vegan or anything like that. It would have to be the easiest, the lowest barrier of entry, vegetarian. And if I was to do that, I wouldn't be the good kind of vegetarian that's always eating salads and healthy stuff. I would be the bad kind of vegetarian that goes out and if we go out to eat, I'd get like mozzarella sticks or nachos for my meal. I wouldn't get a salad or some kind of lettuce wrap,
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to do any of it. I know for a fact. I eat too much meat. And I know even if I did, I could do it for a short period of time, but that's not being a vegetarian. Being a vegetarian, that's like your new lifestyle you've taken on. If you're a vegetarian for like a month, does that make you a vegetarian? I don't think so, right?
How long do you have to be a vegetarian for it to be?
I think if you've gone for over a year.
Whole year.
And then you tell me I'm a vegetarian, then I'll be like, that's fair. But if one of my friends was like, I'm a vegetarian, and they had been a vegetarian for a month, I'd be like, are you a vegetarian? Have you really quit eating meat?
How long do you think you could accidentally go without eating meat? As in like, not intentionally, but just like, I just happen to order things that don't, happen to order, cook, whatever, make things that aren't meat. I mean, what, like a week maybe?
I think
if I eat a lot of pasta.
If I wasn't trying, like if you're talking about my life thus far, what's the longest period of time where I've went and not eaten meat? There's no way it's over 3 days.
You think 3 days?
I think there's no way it's over that. I think 2 days maximum.
Yeah, I guess.
If I went through my entire life.
That's crazy to think about. You know what's crazy too is that they say that there's actually less vegetarians now than there was 20 years ago.
Well, I feel because there's so many other options, right? I guess you could be like a vegan.
No, but there's less people that abstain from eating meat now than there was in 1999. Yeah, according to this.
That's wild.
And what percent do you think don't eat meat?
What, like 3%?
It's about 4, yeah.
4%? Well, look at that guess.
Yeah, and yet we have to have a vegetarian option at every restaurant. for
we had to be inclusive.
1 out of 30 people or something like that.
Find more Riot content online. riot.radiou.com.
Let me introduce you to John Bartlett. He's in his 70s. He's worked at the same company in a warehouse for the last 42 years. He just recently retired. Apparently he didn't even want to retire. He liked working there so much, but he's in his 70s. So it was just time. He couldn't do the work anymore. But here's why John's story is interesting. It's because apparently when he had his final day at the warehouse for this company, the unnamed company, what they gave him was some kind of cookout and some kind of gift card. And that was about it. His coworker stepped in and said, for 42 years of working here, that's not good enough. And so one of his coworkers wound up setting up a GoFundMe that's now raised like $70,000 for this guy.
78K.
78 as of right now. That's pretty good. Should have a nice retirement. 78K. But it made me question, is a barbecue, like, it feels like for 42 years of work, that's not, you should get something better than a cookout and a gift card, right? But what do you actually expect? And to be clear, this guy wasn't moaning and groaning about it. It was his coworkers that are like, this isn't good enough. We need to do something better for John. We'll take care of him with a GoFundMe and whatnot. But what do you expect on your very last day of work? Let's say you work for RadioU for another 40 years. What are you expecting on your last day? How much of a party do you want, Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like a cookout is nice.
Yeah.
Seems like a nice thing. Do I expect them to give me money? Is that the expectation?
I don't know if that's how it works, but some comments around this story make it sound like, and I have no idea about this, but that if you retire, that you get some kind of retirement bonus from your company. I didn't know that was a thing. I'm not sure that it is. I don't know at many companies. It sure wasn't at John's company.
Yeah, it sure
whichever
wasn't.
one he worked for. But I don't know. Yeah, I feel like expecting more than a cookout and a gift card feels like a lot to expect. But at the same time, how many people work at the same place for 42 years? You can't go a little above and beyond as a company to pay this guy back for all the years of work that he put in for you. It says he did not make a lot of money working here. He just loved the work, liked the people, and so he just kept doing it. He didn't have a family to support or anything, so it was fine for him to be able to keep doing this. But yeah, I mean, you can't show the guy a little more appreciation? I don't know if I'm upset about it, but it feels like it would be nice.
A little something special.
Yeah.
To hit the road with. I mean, now he's hitting the road with 78K. So, I mean,
yeah,
he's feeling pretty good. Things worked out for John.
Yeah, they did. And he didn't even have to raise a fuss about it.
No, he didn't even have to ask.
I guess that's what I hope for, is that I don't have to raise a fuss whenever I work my last day, wherever.
We're not starting a GoFundMe for you. I'm not starting one.
Well, I don't want to make it a big deal or anything. So if somebody starts a GoFundMe for my retirement and then it raises 80K, that would be nice.
I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah, but I'm not going to get up in arms or start calling on people to do that. Now, 40 years.
I wouldn't be opposed.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on RadioU.
Today's a huge day, Isaiah. It's a holiday. In fact, it's not just one holiday. It's 4. I call it the Quattro. I'm going to tell you the 4 holidays. You tell me which one you want to celebrate. Obviously, Columbus Day. Today. It's also Indigenous Peoples Day. It's also Canadian Thanksgiving. It's also, you might not have known this, Leif Erikson Day. Hinga dinga durden. Which one do you want to celebrate?
It's a lot of good days.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why can't we celebrate all of them?
I guess. I don't know. I get the impression now that Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day are at odds. And so you have to choose one. You can't have both. Also, Columbus Day and Leif Erikson Day also would seem to be at odds because I don't know if you know, but Leif Erikson is credited with actually being the first European person to set foot in North America. It wasn't Christopher Columbus. And so that's why, like, if Leif Erikson was here first, which I think is confirmed, then that kind of renders what Columbus did kind of not as interesting, less worthy of recognition.
It's crazy that we have all these days.
Yeah.
And we didn't get the day off.
I know. I've said this before, that it really is an affront to my Canadian heritage that I don't get Canadian Thanksgiving off. I think I feel a little discriminated against, if nothing else.
So listen here. So today's Canadian Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Will you eat turkey today?
No. There's a zero.
So you're not celebrating?
Yeah, because I'm stuck here.
You can still celebrate.
You getting me a turkey?
I'm not buying anything. I'm saying if you want to celebrate, you can celebrate.
Do you think it would make more sense on Canadian Thanksgiving anyways to have like a maple glazed ham or something?
Well, I feel like if you were in the U.S. and you wanted to celebrate Canadian Thanksgiving, that's what that's what someone in the U.S. would do. You're thinking awfully United Statesian right now. You need to start thinking more Canadian.
How dare you tell me how to think like Canadian?
I'm just saying. That's like if I said, oh, really?
Yeah.
Today's National Mexico Day. I should have a taco.
Well, that's racist.
That's what you just said.
No, I am Canadian, so I can say things about Canada.
You're like, I should have a ham today.
I didn't say, oh, we should watch hockey.
It's like, oh, it's National Italy Day. I should eat some pasta.
I know what actually happens on Canadian Thanksgiving. You know what else we do?
What do you do?
We watch Canadian football. There's a big game coming up today. Red Blacks, Alouettes.
The what? What are your team names?
The Ottawa Red Blacks take on the Montreal Alouettes. It's a huge game. Could determine who makes the playoffs in the CFL. Who are you cheering for?
Well, Montreal is 8-7.
Yeah.
Where Ottawa's 4-11. So it seems as if Montreal's going to run through them, but I am cheering for Ottawa, yes.
Yeah. So which would you, if you had to choose one of these holidays, which one are you choosing? Don't you think Canadian Thanksgiving sounds the most fun?
I mean, of all of them, it's the only one that you like do something for, right? You eat food for it.
Yeah. Otherwise, the other ones, some people get the day off, but...
Columbus Day was a National Indigenous People Day.
Yeah.
Leif Erikson Day.
Leif Erikson Day.
What do you do for Leif Erikson Day? What was his go-to?
Something Viking related. He was like an Icelandic explorer or something like that.
Yeah, not a lot of activities for Leif Erikson Day.
Which is too bad. He discovered... He was the first person to set foot on North America that wasn't from North America, supposedly. As far as we know.
When I type in Leif Erikson Day, the first thing that pops up is Leif Erikson Day a real holiday? That's how you know you're a fringe holiday.
Yeah, which is too bad. Leif Erikson deserves better. Don't you think? If
Probably.
Columbus gets all this praise, people get days off for that. Shouldn't Leif Erikson get more recognition?
That's enough of that. For more Riot content, head to riot.radiou.com.